Hi, welcome to Chapter 6. This chapter is over direct democracy, California's initiative process. How is direct democracy enacted in California? As specified in Article 2 of the California Constitution, citizens can initiate legislation in several ways, either as a constitutional amendment or state statute. Ballots are usually held to resolve the most controversial issues, like tax measures, have been the most recurrent ones, and they generate passionate debates across the state. The initiative process itself, direct initiatives are those where voters place a proposed statute or an amendment to the Constitution directly on the ballot. This is done by the people. Instead, indirect initiatives are those where proponents collect signatures and then present the measure to the legislator for enactment. Direct initiatives is the procedure to qualify for proposal for the ballot. It must follow specific procedures. The first step is writing the proposed law by the proponents of the initiative. Having written the proposal, proponents submit the text together with their contact information and a signed statement to certify they are qualified electors to the California Attorney General's Initiative Coordinator with a written request to prepare a title and 100-word summary for the circulation. Proponents must disclose in the separate document who are the top official funders for the initiative and deposit $2,000, a sum that will be refunded in case the initiative goes to ballot within the following 2 years. Direct initiatives, collectors can be paid according to the number of signatures collected, but those breaching the elections code with abuses such as false statements about the content or the effects of the petition or giving money in exchange for the signature can incur criminal penalties. The number of signatures required to place a measure on the ballot varies according to the initiative. If valid signatures are less than 95%, the initiative failed. If valid measures are between 95 and 110% of the amount required, then the signatures must be fully checked. Finally, if valid signatures are greater than 110%, the proposition qualifies for the ballot without further certification. Due to the problems that may occur in this phase, proponents usually seek at least 50% more than the legal minimum number of signatures to compensate for possible invalid signatures. Indirect signatures. In 1911, the California legislature had the power to get involved if the initiative's proponents so desired. The process itself promoted this measure since the proponents had to gather signatures of only at least 5% of the total votes cast at the last gubernatorial election with the legislator's involvement. In comparison, the number increased to 8% for direct initiatives. Nowadays, 10 out of 24 American states allow for the initiative process and include indirect initiatives. California itself has a recall process. Citizens in California can remove their state and local officials before their term expires, but then it cannot remove federal officers who are subject to the United States Constitution. Whereas federal officers were more independent because they had to represent the entire country rather than a specified state, local representatives were considered servants of the people of that state, who then had the right to direct politicians in every decision. Once the governor receives all documents, a notice for the recall election is published not less than 60 days, nor more than 80 days from the date of certification of sufficient signatures. Election must take place within 180 days of the same date. The procedure to recall of a local officer is similar to the state officers since the delivery, publication, drafting, and circulation are the same. Instead, the number of signatures required and the deadlines for the submission of the signatures change since they both differ according to the number of registered voters in the electoral jurisdiction. In this case, elections must take place between 88 and 125 days after the date of certification that sufficient signatures have been collected. In sum, the recall process is meant to address two main issues. On one side, the removal of officials who are no longer acting in the public interest because they have become corrupt by corporate interests. On the other side, the punishment of an official who is not acting as promised during the elections. There are divided opinions on the efficiency of these measures, on which features ought to be improved. The importance of money investment in initiative procedures can well be noted by considering the list of the most expensive ballots in California, of which all 10 the most expensive occurred over the last 2 decades. The most expensive proposition in California history was Proposition 22 in the year 2020, which was an initiated statute to define app-based drivers as independent contractors rather than employees or agents. Reform proposals happen. Suggestions to improve the initiative process are divided between those who argue in favor of increasing the legislator's role and those who sustained instead more than the popular deliberation required. And it may seem that solutions must require an increase in the legislator's involvement or the judiciary. Nonetheless, some have also argued to render the initiative process more deliberate. Citizens' direct participation is essential in any democracy, since not only it balances the will of the majority with the need of to protect the minority interests, but it also favors mechanisms for fact-finding, debate, consensus building, and for understanding better what laws to apply. Direct democracy and public policy happens also. Direct democracy is connected with various improvements concerning the citizens' political participation. For example, younger citizens and those more interested in the political process are more supportive of direct democracy. Direct democracy has several economic implications. For example, states employing initiative procedures can seem to lead to better economic performances. By acknowledging a hybrid nature of California's democracy does not entail that direct initiatives are just tools in the hands of a few elites. Research demonstrates that direct democracy is powerful in shaping directly and indirectly public policy in the states where it is used, and that direct democracy produces positive outcomes both from the instrumental and educative point of view. Thank you very much for tuning in for this week, and I look forward to our next chapter together.